Hello, welcome back to sharing what I learned. Today's video is mind over matter, and specifically relating that to emotion a lot, and relating that to just the will to live. So let's get into it. The longest anyone has ever survived while being starved of all types of food and nutrients was 18 days. His name was Andreas Miakev, an Austrian man who is being held in a police holding cell for questioning in the basement and was meant to be released. The problem was he was never released. The guards forgot about him, and he had to survive 18 grueling days, getting water from condensation on the walls and having zero food. He lost a total of 54 pounds during that time. I think it is one of the most powerful yet tragic stories of all time. Andreas's will to live, his want for life, kept him alive all of that time down there. He ended up making a full recovery and is still alive today, living at the bright age of 65. I would suspect that while he was down there, he was fighting every urging of his body to give up. He was fighting the pain in his stomach and his muscles telling him to lay down and accept his fate. But he didn't give up. His mind took him all the way, and he narrowly escaped death when it would have been easier to just lie down and quit. Your mind is a very powerful tool. It is what controls everything about you, really. In some ways, it is you. Some people believe your body can die, but your mind can survive. The ultimate goal of Buddhism is to achieve nirvana, a state free from suffering, and thus free from the physical world. An example of when a Buddhist achieves something like this is with the Russian monk Idiglov, who died to to achieve something very similar to nirvana. He had his students bury him while he sat in the lotus pose, and he set his head for them to dig him up in 30 years' time. He seemingly gave up his life and accepted death in this endeavor. Normally, a body buried underground will lose all tissue and skeletize in around 5 years. So it would be expected that by the time they dug up his body, he would be nothing but bones. But when they exhumed him, his body was somehow intact. He had to be reburied, sadly, hence the monks who exhumed him were unable to bring his body back to the temple for fear of prosecution by the Russian government, and there he stayed for another 30 years. When brought back he out after having been underground for nearly 60 years, he was still intact. Forensic experts were shocked to find how intact his body really was, and were saying it was somewhat of a mystery how it was so well preserved. The Buddhists believed, however, that he he had been so well preserved, hence he was still alive. They said he had achieved a state called sun, sunyata, which roughly translates to internal emptiness. Sunyata in meditation is a quote step by step mental cultivation exercise end quote, where you throw off all physical attributes, themes as you call them, and dwell purely in the mind. Now, you might be saying, whoa, you Buddhist monk, what are you going on about? I don't believe in the Buddhist religion. Like, you're just yapping here. And I say to you, neither do I. But I do find these real life cases of people seemingly overcoming the physical world to be very interesting. Maybe we should all open that third eye and look at these cases with an open mind, maybe even an empty mind. Well, your mind seems to be quite the powerful tool, and it can seemingly affect your body in these amazing preserving ways. But if it can preserve your body like this, it can most certainly rot it as well. Hypochondria, or also illness anxiety disorder, is when someone stresses themselves out so bad over the idea that they may become sick, or the the idea that they are sick, that they actually actually end up developing those symptoms. Some symptoms being nausea, headaches, dizziness, and pain. They trick their own mind into believing they must have something wrong with them, and they start and they s- and whenever they start feeling bad, their mind only further believes something is wrong because something actually is. It's like an even more extreme case of going on the internet and googling some symptom you have, and just going down the rabbit hole and discovering that there must be this 90% chance that you have like cancer or something just out of nowhere. But your mind, um when really, like, you're feeling bad, there must be like a 90% chance that you have like stage 4 lung cancer, when really you are just out of shape and not really in exercise. But your mind can also be out of shape as well. It can be stressed, anxious, and depressed, and all of these mental health conditions can have very large impacts on your physical health. With anxiety, there there are physical symptoms like increased heart rate, tightness in your chest, followed by pains, nausea, vomiting, dizziness, sweating, and numbness. All of that physical distress and ailment is caused purely by your mental health. High consistent stress can cause hair loss, heart issues, immune system issues, sleep issues, headaches, pains, high blood pressure, and even weight gain. With depression, you can have increased constant fatigue, unexplainable aches and pains in your body, changes in appetite, slowed movements in speech, and even, in extreme cases, change a woman's menstrual cycle. These mental conditions and emotions have extreme effects on our physical well beings. By just having a brain that is anxious and stressed and believes there is something always wrong with you, you will actually develop symptoms which point to a problem. Some of that problem, however, was purely made up by your own worries about it. For a lot of individuals, the first line of defense, if they feel depressed or stressed or anxious, is to get medicated for it. But a lot of the medications have really significant side effects, especially with antidepressants. So what if you wanted to have the benefits of the medication, but no side effects? You might be able to take a a placebo pill. Placebo pills are just pills with no active medication, and they can either be labeled as what they are or not. Either way, they seem to work. There's a, there was a lab test done on individuals who were seeking treatment for depression and were currently not taking any medication for it. The participants were given what they were told were, quote, fast acting antidepressants, end quote. The data collected came to the conclusions that those who took it saw both a, quote, significant decrease in depression symptoms and significantly better responses to subsequent treatments, end quote. The people were given no true medication, but they did truly get better because they believed in these pills and thought they would help them. They had hope. That is the word for this video. Hope. In another test done by Harvard, they say that placebo pills are something of a ritualistic treatment. If done every day, then they do have significant benefits. They 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 did a trial between two groups, with one group taking real pain medicine, and the other group taking a placebo variety. But the group that took the placebo variety were were informed that it was a placebo pill. Even even with the knowledge that it was fake, it still worked 50% as effectively as the real pain medicine. Isn't that wild? Just by taking something and knowing it is fake, still they had some pain relief. Talking more on the ritualistic aspect, even the act of going to a doctor's office and just getting that checkup, that like official checkup, and the act of being told you are healthy, and the patient believing it, is enough to cure them of whatever ailment they're feeling a lot of the time. That isn't just something that happens in like TV shows. It's a real it's a real thing, and it does truly happen. Now, why does it matter that your mind has so much control over who you are physically? Well, it is because sometimes your mind is able to change your whole life. So, halfway point, spoiler alert for the if you have not read The Midnight Library but want to read it, I would suggest not watching the rest of this video because there are a lot of spoilers. But if you have read it or are not worrying about it, continue watching. So, in The Midnight Library, the main character at the beginning of the story kills herself because she thinks that she is of no worth to the world. She believes that she has made no meaningful impact on the world and she has lost, messed up everything, meaning everything of meaning in her life. I think the feeling of regret and feeling like everything is messed up is one a lot of people can relate to and have felt at some point. The feeling that you haven't truly made a difference and you won't. But throughout the Midnight Library, she sees all the different lives she could have possibly lived, and there's an infinite number. And every single life changed because of the decisions she made. In some, her parents split due to her favoring her dad in some ways. In some, her best friend died because of a car crash. Um, in others, her her elderly neighbor went went to a retirement home instead of staying where he lived at and watering the beautiful azalea bushes outside outside his front door. But all these things changed because of her actions. She didn't realize the impact she had on the world. She didn't realize all of the changes she makes every day which affect the world around her. She didn't realize killing herself is the worst decision anyone can make. But she realized it by the end. And at the end of the book, she decides to go back to her own life and save herself from death. She finds the book within the Midnight Library. That is her real life, and asks to begin her own story by writing something in it. And the words that make her go back to her own life are, "I am alive." She decided to live. She wrote a decree of life. It says her feelings during that moment, which were she didn't want to die, and she didn't want to live any other life than the one that was hers. The one that could be a messy struggle, but it was her messy struggle, a beautiful, messy struggle. She wanted to live, even if living was harsh. It says later, nothing changed, but I am happy because I decided to be. She decided that her life was worth living and made an impact and realized both of those things were true. She wasn't just faking it to oh, she made it. She truly saw that she did make an impact. A quote that I think sums it up perfectly from the book in general, and it's a long one, but stay with me here. Is is her, is her speaking. It says, "The doctor always told me my problem was situational and not clinical. And yet my situation hasn't changed. Neither has my problem. My depression-prone brain remains. What has changed was a chance to feel how every other situation could have been. I could tell you about it, but you would never believe me. All I can tell you is that there is only one thing that has changed, and yet that one thing was everything. I don't want to die anymore." Her mind changed. She gained hope, and hope can only be created by the one who holds it. Someone can't make you hopeful. Hope is purely your own. Hope for life brings happiness and gumption and a drive to live, and she had all three of these by the end. She realized that this life she is in is not determined by her situation, but by her. Henry David Thoreau once said, "It is not what you look at, it is what you see," which is exactly what this is about. Your life may be tough, your life may be hard, but your life is yours. Your mind is yours, and if you want your life to be good, your mind must be good. And all of that is your own choice since your mind is yours. So follow in her footsteps and realize that your mind is the most powerful thing. Whether it is creating depression or curing it, not hot deteriorating underground for 60 years or surviving 18 days in a in a jail cell with no food. Your mind can get through anything. Now go live and let your mind live with you. Go make your life yours by making your mind yours. Now, have a great one. Go live.